Hey there, comic book fans. I'm back from the comic shop again this week. It was a huge week for me at the comic shop with 13 books. I don't even have enough fingers to flash. There's 10 and 3 for 13. 12 were on my pull list. One I pulled off the shelf, which would have been on my pull list if I had seen it. Man, a lot of comics this week. But first, let me show you my top of the printer museum comics. What do we have here? I had that Brian Boland JLA cover last week. That made me go, I want a George Perez one. So there we get a George Perez JSA JLA cover. And the other one is a Tom Strong cover. That's a Paul Chadwick cover. That one kind of surprised me. That was Paul Chadwick. His signature's on it. But I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that Paul. I've had this since it came out, but I haven't looked at my Tom Strongs in ages. But I didn't realize that Paul Chadwick did any Tom Strong stuff. I think his name is also on the, Moore, Sprouse, Chadwick, Corbin, Hollingsworth, and Klein. So I guess, pardon me, Gordon, not Corbin. I see when I put my glasses on, I can read it. So I guess I remember Chris Sprouse doing most of the Tom Strong that I remember, but I guess they had Chadwick doing a backup. And Gordon was the inker. I wish there was some Richard Corbin, Tom Strong. That would be cool. But yep, those are my two top of the printer comics this week. And then we've got Space Age, more about that Mike Allred Superman comic. That's 3 issues, not $10 a pop, 80 pages. You know what that... You know they're going to have a collected edition for cheaper than $30, so it's like, it's just annoying how expensive comics are. That's one I may have picked up on a whim because I like Michael Allred and I'd like to see him do some Superman, but not for $10. That's way too expensive for a whim. Then we got Asagi Ojimbo, Lone Goat and Kid, number 5, the reprint, colorized for the first time, with the cover by... what's his name? David Peterson, the Mouse Guard guy. Always good. I have the original black and white one of this, but here I go buying the color one too, because I just like reading Usagi Ojimbo. I think next month we finally have Lone Goat and Kid. Like a lot of the Usagis were kind of not extended stories back then. They were done in ones or 1 or 2 issues. So I think Lone Goat and Kid was not an extended story. He only appeared in 1 issue, but they named the whole 6-issue thing after him. So there you go. Oh, and here is Cerebus in Hell. Issue, everyone's in issue number 1, but it's funny. They put they number each one. Like this is copy 1300 of 2379, and I always like to pay attention to the print run. Because the more popular the cover, the more the print run goes up. And it's been stuck at like 1,700 copies for months now. But this one goes up to 2,300 copies, so people must like this Alf parody cover. I guess a bunch of people ordered it out. Giant-sized Public Defenders will be soon, too. But I'm guessing 2379 will probably be the peak print run of this for a while. And it's... Dave Sim doing his cut and paste comic strips because he can't draw anymore. I think you can also read them on the web. Boy, these ones look like oh, there's the devil is down there too. That's who's thinking all these word balloons. I find it amusing, but it's not for everyone. What else do we got? Saga number 59. Some sort of fish on the cover. Saga's always good. Solid storytelling, nice artwork. As the story is narrated by this little girl, and her future self is narrating the story of herself as a little girl, and her mother as they kick around space, and she's half wings and half horns. There's 2 sides having a war, and her mother and father are one is from each side. And they're aliens in the future or the past, who knows when. And so everybody, in the beginning of it, everybody was looking for her because they're not allowed to breed, the 2 people who are at war. So they've kind of backed off on that for a while. Now they're bringing it up again. But anyways, the story of this little girl. Fun stuff. What do we got? Rogue Sun number 4. This is a continuing superhero story in the Radiant Black universe. Some solid artwork. About this superhero Rogue Sun who just inherited the superpowers from his father who died, but the super suit he's got comes with an AI of his father, so who he was estranged from. Rogue Sun. And we still don't know who killed his father. We have a vague... Well, actually, we do. We just don't know who he killed him in, like, issue 1, this mysterious guy who... We don't know who he is because we don't know that much about the Rogue Sun universe. That's what it is. So, we got that. And then another one in the Radiant Black universe is Radiant Red. This is a 5-issue series. This is number 3 of 5. Or it even says so on it. This is... Radiant Black is kind of like, think of him as the Black Power Ranger, and she's the Red Power Ranger. They've got these suits from aliens that give them superpowers, and they don't quite know what to do with it and what's going on. But there's some monster coming to destroy the Earth or something. Meanwhile, like in Radiant Black, he's really kind of embracing social media to be a superhero and make it into a job and raise some money and blah, blah, blah. And in this one... It started off in the Radiant Black story. She used the super suit to rob a bank to get her out of financial trouble. She's just like I think she's like a grade school teacher, if I remember correctly. But her husband is a degenerate gambler who gambled away all their money, and now they can't make the payments on their house, blah, blah, blah. So she ended up robbing a bank, and that just got her into more trouble with criminals rather than the law. And here's one I didn't know was continuing. Psychodrama Illustrated number 5, the Gilbert Hernandez one. I don't know if this is ongoing. There hasn't been an issue in a little while. Return to Mystery. There's our naked lady there. There's all the characters in the back. We got Luba up there. Oh yeah, there's I think that's Luba. There's her daughter. Where's that? Oh, man, I can't even remember who all these ones are. But it's his Love and Rockets stuff. I guess he's more prolific than Jaime, so he's got his own story. I mean, there was his Love and Rocket characters in here, and he's telling stories with them. So, like, I don't know if this is ongoing. I thought it was a mini because it stopped coming out, and I think the story ended that he was telling. But I guess he just started another one. But here we go. I'm on my pull list, so it showed up for me. Monstrous number 40. I bought 40 issues of it. It's good. Big fantasy setting. Now there's a war going on between all the parties, and our main character, Monstrous, the half-wolf, Marika the half-wolf, has been out of action for a few issues. She's kind of been caught and put under by this drug to keep her and her monster out of the war, but she's going to wait. So this has been all about what's going on around her recently. So always good, though. Enjoy it. Who does this one? Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. Good stuff. Then the second issue of the Image 30th Anniversary Anthology. Who is that? Who does that cover? I don't know. Look like a Dave Cooper to me, but it's not. Let's see. Cover design. Who did the cover itself? Does it say so on the... There's a signature there that I can't read. But anyway, the first issue was It's 12 issues. We'll see how the second issue is. The problem is I don't think people know how to do anthologies anymore. Some of them were good. Some of them knew how to do an anthology. And some of it was just, here's 4 pages of a story. So it's kind of like, Chris Geruso, who's been on my Friday night Cavern of Chaos show, did 1 page in this issue. So there it is. Dean Haspiel, his name will come up in a minute, is doing 1 page in the back of each issue, I think. And so we'll see how, like I said, I like anthologies in general. I kind of accept that they're, I'm not going to like every story, that's okay. As long as I like a certain port, but I don't like square bound. I wish this was saddle stitched, had the staples in it, because I'm not a fan of square bound, but oh well. And how much is this? This one's more expensive too. $6. But it's, I don't know, 40 pages, something like that. So it's bigger than your average comic. Then we've got, what is this? Ice Cream Man. Rat in a Maze cover. Issue number 20. I remember I really liked last issue. It was a weird one. I can't remember what it was now, but I really enjoyed it. Like I said, Ice Cream Man is very weird, experimental, existential horror, real, regular horror. Weird. Lots of teeth drawn on everybody. That's what makes it extra creepy. He draws lots of teeth. Not extra teeth, just most superhero or most comic book art doesn't have so many teeth in it. Then what do we have? Department of Truth, another regular one now, issue number 18. I've been getting this since about issue 8 or 9, I think. All good stuff. It's about conspiracy theories and trying to keep them from coming true, but sometimes they'll come true if enough people believe in them. And it's got, they did some aliens stories, some Bigfoot stories, JFK stories. We got stories on everything. I don't know what this one is going to be. It's who's doing this one? James Tinian the Fourth is our writer. Martin Simmons is our artist. Aditya Bidikar is our letterer. I guess the artist is doing the color too, so it looks pretty integrated. Then what do we have here? Whew. This is a lot of freaking comics, isn't it? Aerosmith, Behind Enemy Lines, issue 5 of 6. We continue on as it takes place in World War I, except there's magical powers. Some nice Carlos Pacheco art. Kurt Busiek on words. And it looks like there's a lot of explanation going on in this one, but our young magic user is behind enemy lines with an ally who's a more adept magic user, and they're trying to perform some mission, which is to get in touch with these mystical people to help them beat the Germans somehow. So, good stuff, Aerosmith. And here's one I picked up off the shelf. I mentioned Dean Haspiel in that image before. Dean Haspiel is doing The Fox, a one-shot from Archie Comics, a book he's done before. I haven't seen him in a long time, except on social media, but I went to college with Dean. In the 90s, he was the king of the mini-comics. He's done a lot of work. He did he drew a Harvey Pekar graphic novel. He's done a lot of stuff. Oh, what's that? It looks like we have some flashback to Alex Toth Fox. Is that a reprint? Let's see. Originally presented in Black Hood number 2, 1983. Some Alex Toth Fox. I didn't know that was going to be in there. Very cool. We'll give that one a read too. But Dean's a good guy. Pick up some Fox. And let's see, the last thing we got is an Aftershock one shot, $8. I think these are usually around 40 pages. Spectro, 4 terrifying tales rooted in the cosmic game of twisted karma and phantasmagoric horror. This is Juan Doe's Spectro. I like that cover a lot. The back cover is pretty neat too. Matter of fact, I was flipping through it, and I think I like the cover better than the interior art. Ooh, there's some weird looking stuff. But we'll give it a read. But like I said, I actually saw this one. I looked at a preview of this one back when Final Quarter Cutoff was. And I've been buying all of these Aftershock one-shots anyway, but I put this one on my pull list. Look at that weird-looking guy. Like I said, pardon me, it's 4 short and stories, weird science fiction stories by Juan Doe. Wonder if that's a pen name, because it sounds like it. John Doe. So there you go. Let me show you a little bit of my art before I go. And I finished my big ink drawing, but first I'm going to show you this. I did a Gatsby illustration. Here's a little quote down there. What does it say? Good night, old sport. Good night. That's from the scene where the party is ending early one morning and Gatsby's saying goodbye on his front porch. And I decided to make this weird version of a giant Gatsby head in the window. because I don't like to be literal. I don't want to draw him standing on a porch doing nothing. I want to draw him staring at you from behind a window in a giant sort of ghostly image. Wanted him a little more ghost. Here, I was trying to decide between, and this one, the lines on the face are a little darker, and I didn't like it, so I lightened them up a bit and went with that. So there's the two different versions of it. This is double-sided matte paper, so this is what I can proof on. So that's what I ended up having it look like. And then we've got this one back here. You saw it, a lot of it done last week, but all this texture and stuff is in it. Let me pop it out of its little clip. And here's something new I did with this one that I hadn't really done before. See that? You can just see it in the glare, I think. Those little circles, those little spirals in there, the different... I was using two different inks. One is a matte black ink. And I discovered that if I draw with a matte black ink over the other ink, there, now we can see it in the light, I can make like sort of black on black drawings. I'm kind of like, ooh, that's interesting. You can only see it at certain times. But here, I put all the textures in the background, his neck and markings, and all the textures went in his hair and the clouds behind him, and all the textures went in that strange building over there. That's what changed from last week. Like I said, saw this last week, except that all of these lines weren't in, all these tones weren't in it. Okay, so there you go. A little bit of artwork, a little bit more artwork. 13 comics. And you guys have a good week out there.